Well, hello everyone! I'm just seeing if this is actually working because this is my first time doing a stream here at home. But, yes, what is up? So let's get this going proper. Long days and pleasant nights, fellow fans, along the path of the beam. I am known in this realm as Jaime and Fuego, and if it please you, join me today, provided I don't drop my phone, for the first ever Hail to Stephen King Live. That's right, this is going to be a full-blown Ask Me Anything bit of business. I cannot wait for this. I'm going to try to... The joys of modern technology entail me bringing the iMac out here into the filming room. And I see we've already got some peeps on here. Let me know, dudes, if there is like some hella lag, how crazy this is looking. I'm actually, it's still not close enough for me to read comments. So I'm going to jump on the YouTube devicey thing and just try to read them here. So yeah, this is something we've been talking about for a while. I just got back from a trip to Vegas, which was a ton of fun. So it was just like, yep, let's turn that now, so we're not double dipping, and jump onto the live chat. So guys, just let me know once again, things are lagging all cray-cray and whatnot, but yeah, hopefully this is going to be a damn fun experience. Let's give a shout out. Sam Power, what is up, sir? Jerks, Brandon, what up, man? How goes it? We got Matt Reyes going down. Yes, and there is Channel Sundown. I'm not sure if that is Maddie or Amanda, who was just on us on the program this past weekend. So tons and tons of fun there. Got Beth S. We got Dayton. What up, man? Man, Flippo the Hippo. What up, dude? Loving it, loving it. So once again, let's keep looking. Ashley October, yo, girl. Thanks for joining, Dino. What is up, sir? And man, I'm glad that we have a nice, healthy crew. MR Stover, Evil Prince. I'm just trying to get all the formalities out of the way beforehand. Yes, 20,000 subs, and you get a buzz cut. No, sir, I had a buzz cut back in my childhood, and I have no interest in going back to that ever again. And yeah, hence all the long hair. Wet Paint Pictures, what is up, sir? And I think Lewis Kurtz, hello, greetings. And I think Dylan Thomas, what is up, y'all? So yeah, basically, now that this seems to actually be functioning accordingly, let's dive into it. So, Hail to Stephen King has never been live before, and once again, this is going to be a Ask Me Anything with pertinence to the King. I'm just going to get things started out. First and foremost, what of the stuff that is coming in 2018 are you guys most excited about? Is it the new book, The Outsider, that we have coming in May? Is it the prospect of the Castle Rock TV series that is going to be going down on Hulu? There's also murmurings about a few other adaptations finally seeing the light of day, like the Children of the Corn sci-fi film sequel to the remake. It's called Runaway. It was supposed to come out last year. There's also murmurings about a few other projects like that adaptation of the 10 O'Clock People that has apparently been just shifting around, floating around for a while. I would definitely say with the exception of Castle Rock and the new novel, I'm really stoked for this Children of the Corn sequel. I thought the Sci-Fi Channel original was much more faithful to the source material, and while it wasn't perfect, if you guys watched the unrated version that they released on DVD, I thought that shizzle was damn good. It was so much fun. It had the brutal ending that the original source material did and that the Linda Hamilton film lacked, and so that is one besides the obvious that I am most excited about, outside of maybe some crazy surprises that we might get. And it's really tough to top a year, guys, that was 2017 for King. Whether it was the amazingness that was the Mr. Mercedes series and, obviously the It film, or the disappointments that were stuff like, for me, Sleeping Beauties a little bit. And also the aforementioned Dark Tower, which I'm still hopeful that maybe they will completely course correct, because they still haven't said that TV series is dead yet. So who knows? What was your guys' favorite thing in 2017? I'm sure most will say It, but let's say your favorite King thing besides It. Did you like Sleeping Beauties? Did you think the Mist series actually wasn't total trash? Let me know in these comments, and I'm going to start shifting through a few right now. Let's see how crazy fast it's all going. James Gordon, thanks, bro, man. Appreciate the love. What's up, Ms. Morning79? Gracias for joining us. Horror soundtrack on vinyl. Beth, that is what's up, girl. 20,000 subs, you get bangs. I don't think I could rock the bangs like on, Publicity, that show that Nick Kroll so awesomely did and that I adored so very much. I just don't think I could rock the bangs, yo. So Lou Sitsma says The Outsider. Yeah, the Outsider has a very interesting premise of a sports coach getting framed by some sort of supernatural being that is going around and committing these hideous murders, and I think they involve children, if I'm not mistaken, and then he has he, she, it, whatever you want to say, has the ability to pinpoint and even put fingerprints and everything, so I'm not sure if there's a possession aspect involved here. That might be the case. That could be kind of cool. But yeah, I'm curious and I'm hopeful that after a string of King releases that, you know, he was really firing on all cylinders for me with Dr. Sleep, with Mr. Mercedes, with Revival. I think Finders Keepers is super underrated. I really do, and it's exciting to find out that the second season of Mr. Mercedes is actually the show that's on the AT&T Audience Network. It's going to delve into at least some of that second book. We don't know for sure, but they cast somebody as Brady's, like, therapist, doctor person, so you know that that's going to be him in that ward where he ends up after, you know, the whole version of the bombing at the concert and stuff. So yeah, I'm curious if they're going to totally alter things or if they are going to have, Mr. Hodges with his ragtag team going after that obsessive book collector guy who gets out of prison from Finders Keepers. But, you know, after Bizarre Bad Dreams, I was kind of disappointed a little bit with the ending of End of Watch, and I can't wait for the fact that Marcia Parker, guys, is supposed to be returning to the program tentatively sometime in February, around the time that she will be going back to her, regular job after, having this beautiful son with her husband, Pete, so shout out to the both of them. Marcia, we miss you, and we can't wait for you to return, but when she does, her and I are going to be talking about that entire trilogy, the Hodges trilogy of books, and then we're also going to do a review of the first season of Mr. Mercedes. I've been waiting anxiously to have my Stevie K, diehard lady back to help me out with that, so that is cool. Let's keep scrolling through these comments. Okay, so Sam Power, it's the first question I'm seeing, so I'm going to go with it. Fuego, which Stephen King book is your favorite? Come on, man. You know, if you have watched any of the almost 50 Hail to Stephen King videos that I've done, there's a video about that. So go and check it out. It's a video entitled Top 3 Books and Adaptations for TV and Screen or something like that. So just search Stephen King Top 3 on the horror show. You guys will find that. Inaugural live episode of Hail. Yes, Dylan, glad you tuned in as well. Yes, Robert Medina. Fuego! It's kind of like Sega, Sega! Fuego! That's what I'm starting to go for, hopefully. Gabriel Flores, yo, what's up, man? Get a perm or the Jerry curl. No, I don't think I'm doing either of those for the 20,000 subs, but it's coming very soon, guys. We're almost at 17,000. We cannot thank this amazing community that we have enough for all of the support. It's humbling, it's honoring, and I feel much the same about anybody who tunes in to this show. And for this first one that we're doing live with all 20 of y'all chillaxing. Okay, Ashley October, a badass constant supporter. She says, Castle Rock series for sure. I'm tentatively excited about it, but for the sheer fact that it's supposedly not going to be really adapting King stories per se, but more so working in the preconceived universe. And it's obviously going to be before, before Needful Things, which is where the town gets all destroyed and stuff. Spoilers. Sorry. I probably should have been thinking before I said that one. But yeah, so I'm guessing it's going to... Or it could be alternate universe. Who the hell knows? King has such a vast multiverse. This could be a different Castle Rock with, maybe Cujo's still alive. Or maybe, the first sheriff that he chewed up and killed isn't dead yet. Or who the hell knows? Although I think I did see Pangborn was cast in. So perhaps I'm wrong. But this could be just like we've seen alternate New Yorks in the Dark Tower series. Who knows? This could be an alternate universe Castle Rock. And I think that could be cool because then they could just do whatever the hell they want with it. And all the people in the writer's room could just play in that sandbox with all those characters and go nuts. I'm with Ashley that hopefully it's going to be awesome. Jumping to Brandon, my first question is why King? What draws you to him? King, I relate to him a little bit. I think. Not just because he has a birthday the day after mine and we're both Virgos and we're both overly analytical, insanoids in that degree and we overthink things and whatnot, and that's probably why he fleshes out his characters so insanely and has so many people in them and they all are so richly developed, but sometimes to his detriment, as much as I love the guy, if the characters aren't that interesting, which for me is the difference between The Stand and Under the Dome, there's only a few characters I found fascinating in Under the Dome, but for The Stand I found the predominance of the cast compelling, so it becomes a detriment when the characters aren't that interesting and it tends to slow down the narrative a little bit. But for better or for worse, the guy really knows how to make three-dimensional, believable people, even if, hey, a person can be believable and still boring, so That's the way I look at it. But to just not take too much time on this question, Brandon, he has a religious background like me. I believe he has a hopeful silver lining to the predominance of his writing, especially his novels. But as I also do, there's, to quote Dustin Kensrue from Thrice, there's something dark inside of me. There's something dark inside of all of us. And I think King is willing to embrace it at times in a literary manner, and it's almost like therapeutic, which is why I love his anthology, just short story work so much, because of the fact that I feel like that's him more so really just cutting loose with his darkness, because as you guys probably know, if you've read a lot of his short fiction, stuff like Just After Sunset, or the early stuff like Night Shift and Skeleton Crew, whereas his novels often have a silver lining, and I've talked about this before, his shorts are often like Twilight Zone type ending, effed up stuff. So I just love the fact that he embraces that a little bit, but he still tries to be hopeful. The religious aspect, the fact that he does, I think, hope the best in certain scenarios, but he's well-versed, he's eloquent. He does, and if I'm going to say if there's any detriment I have that I would bring up, it's the fact that he does retread certain themes a little too much for my taste, but, he's at least honest and very candid in the fact that he says, you write what you know, and I love the fact that he's been so candid and open about what experiences have inspired certain stories, whether it was Pet Sematary or It or whatever it may be. So it's a little bit for you, Brandon. I'm going to try to speed round through this. First King you ever read. And this is from Mr. Blue Jillian, and I'm probably butchering your name, sir, but I'm a huge fan of Cemetery Dance, and Blue is, I'm trying to remember if he is head of the magazine portion of it, but as you can see, I have tons of their wares. I'm still anxiously anticipating the arrival of my Sleeping Beauties Deluxe, which is why you don't see that on the shelf, because I got my copy at the Sai King signing, and then I read through the thing, and I also bought the audiobook, and so I read it, and I also listened to the audiobook as well. So I banged through it twice, and then I was like, I'm going to give this book to a friend, and I'm going to wait until the deluxe edition comes around so I can reread it. But Cemetery does so much amazing stuff besides deluxes for Sai King. I've got a few of their magazines as well, which they put out, based in Maryland, Blue, if I recall correctly. So you guys need to definitely give them all of the attention, because besides King, they do so much other amazing stuff with various artists. And shout out to Richard Chismore as well. Maybe someday I could have a sponsorship of some sort from Cemetery. We could all dream, can't we? So yeah, Sam Power, it's Pets. Oh, Dylan Thomas is giving spoilers, so we're going to skip that. Watch the video. Let him watch the video, Dylan. Don't spoil it. We need more views on that shizzle. If you were a Stephen King book, which would you be? I'd probably be The Stand, because, as I answered before, as far as flawed, music-loving dudes who have a bit of a darkness to them, yeah, Larry Underwood, man. Larry Underwood is my dude. He's my favorite Stephen King character ever. He's the one that I identify most with for trying so hard to do the right thing, and unfortunately still making mistakes on the way, but having a good heart and being willing and, not even blinking an eye in the thick of things about sacrificing yourself for, the good of others. I know it's the whole messianic complex, but it's something that I've always found compelling, not just in the biblical sense, but just the valor of somebody who is willing to just put their life aside for the good of others. That stuff compels me. So yeah, I would definitely be The Stand, because especially also the whole struggle of good and evil, and the way that I was raised in a Christian home, Reformed Baptist, so we're talking a subsect of subsect of subsect, Bible teacher for a father, a parking enforcement woman for a mother. Bless my mother's heart. She was out writing parking tickets in a Phoenix PD uniform and pissing people off constantly. So, I was in a Christian school 5 days a week, plus Wednesday night prayer meeting, plus twice on Sunday. And so maybe that fashioned me to some degree, but that's one of the reasons why, maybe similar to King, I'm compelled by the fight between good and evil because of the way that I was raised. So there you go. Okay, Amanda Pista, later Miss Stone, thanks for joining us this past weekend on the Horror Show. It was a ton of fun. Did you see the Golden Years TV series? This is an interesting question. Dug that show. Horrible cliffhanger ending. And Lou, I'm going to say I started watching it. This was about a year or so ago. I saw a few of the episodes as a kid. It was a CBS miniseries, if I recall correctly, and it had that David Bowie song, which was killer. But see, the thing is, when I heard about the cliffhanger ending and that there were supposed to be more episodes and they pulled the plug on it, it's one of those, along with Rose Red and with Kingdom Hospital, that as a kid, I saw some of, and I've yet to revisit because of the fact that I just wasn't that impressed with what they were doing, honestly. It didn't compel me. However, the same can be said for Storm of the Century, and I repurchased Storm of the Century when I was starting to, I was almost done collecting all the books, and I was like, you know, I'm going to go out and I'm going to start buying up all the DVDs that I thought kind of sucked when I saw them on TV or, you know, edited for TV as a kid. Like, I remember watching Sleepwalkers as a kid and thinking, like, ugh, this is awful. But then I picked up the R-rated version, and I was like, it's not amazing, but it's not as bad as I remember. And it's got some interesting scenes in there, but albeit of a very strange variety. Anyway, long story short, Golden Years is one that, along with the aforementioned Rose Red and Kingdom Hospital, I want to revisit because of the sheer fact that when I rewatched Storm of the Century, I remembered it being slow and boring and just all this talking as a kid, and that book, or excuse me, that series is so thrilling, and just, if you want to talk about the negativity and nastiness of the human condition and everything that entails, holy God, man, and that ending will stick with you. In some ways, I would like to see a sequel to that at some point, you know? So, okay, also favorite, Gerald's Game, tremendously done. I'm going to try to speed through these. Yep, Gerald's Game was dope, definitely. First you hear about King, or read, or a movie. So yeah, first time I ever heard about King was a kid, you know? It was the late 80s, early 90s. I believe it was 1990, if I'm not mistaken, when the original It miniseries broadcast. And I saw some of that at my Yaya and Papa's house because my mom and dad, they wouldn't let me watch any of that kind of crazy, scary stuff. My dad, however, was a big fan of Fright Night. He was a big fan of the second Aliens movie. And so I would like sneak around and kind of hide behind the couch and try to get a glimpse of what he was watching because he dug that stuff, although despite being, you know, the eventual Bible teacher and whatnot, he had a soft spot for, you know, fangers and stuff. He loved a movie called, Love at First Bite. That was one of my dad's favorites as a kid. But my mom was always just scared of those occult things, the monsters and whatnot. But I think my dad had an affinity for it, you know, as a boy growing up in the 50s. And so yeah, I was able to see some of that. But I saw King for the first time when it was broadcast. And I remember the Georgie scene scaring the crap out of me. But even more so, not the scene in the shower, which was not in the book, mind you, but the Beverly scene with the kids talking out of the drain, that for me scared me more than anything in the entire miniseries. I don't even think I saw the full thing the first time it ran around, but I just remember me and my friend going to a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, and there was like clowns there, and we were like cry, and it was bad. And then a few years later, I saw The Stand, I believe in 93, 94, something like that. And by that time, I was a little bit older, and I was just like, okay, I'm sold. But I didn't end up reading any of his books until years and years and years later after I got out of my, you know, music and sports phases. And it's funny how all things come full circle, just like the Wheel of Cod. Okay, let's speed cycle through some of these. Yeah, Mist was trash, I agree with that. 1922 was solid, damn right it was. Hey, I need to finish watching The Mist. I just was... Well, the first couple episodes I watched didn't feel like it was retaining the spirit of the show. So I'm gonna save that for a later video. Yep, Mercedes was awesome. Anibal Riveros, hola, ¿cómo está? How's it going? Everyone hit that thumbs up button. Damn right, Jarius. I appreciate you making sure to throw the words around. Speed through. Yep, equally good. Love Gerald's Game. Damn right, it was fantastic. What did I think of 11/22/63 on Hulu? That was asked by John Dirksen. And John, I got to thank you so much, man, for that Tales from the Crypt Keeper set that you sent for, you know, a nice care package for the horror show. It's one that I never got around to finishing, but we have a fun unboxing where you hear me and Cecil talk about those gifts. And so, yes, big thanks. A grande gracias, as I like to say. So I had a channel for a while called Fuego-tainment that I'm still debating what I'm going to do with because I'm so into the horror show at this point. But 11/22/63, Cecil didn't think it was horror enough. And mind you, he was probably right. But at this point, we branched out and done enough different types of coverage where I think we could probably move these episodes from Fuego-tainment over to the horror show, much like we did with Tales from the Crypt. But Cecil, myself, and Marsha Parker, we reviewed every single episode one by one as they were coming out on Hulu. I love that series. I was obviously disappointed about the dairy omission, but for streamlining things, it made sense. I thought the actress who played Sadie did a tremendous job. The ending was just, it was kind of what I expected, having the fact that I watched the series before I read the book. And that's one thing that I have to tell you guys, if an adaptation is already out for Sai King stuff, whether it's a TV series, a TV movie, feature film, whatever it may be, I always like to watch first. and this is why. I like to watch first because I feel like if I read the book first, it sets down preconceptions where I'm going to be more predisposed to be critical of the film and to hate the film based on, and this happened with the new version of It. I really, really like the new version of It. However, I couldn't help but compare it to the source material and the original adaptation. Sue me, I know, it's tough. But if you do it in that order, if you watch and then read, I've always found that it kind of turns into like getting a director's cut of the story that you really like. So if you guys like the It feature film or even the miniseries, I mean, which I feel like was maybe more faithful in hitting some of the beats in certain aspects, go back and read the book or listen to the audiobook because seriously, so much more. I mean, so much more. So that's at least the way that I do it, but, you know, to each their own, right? Let's continue speeding through. So yes, I loved 1122, just to answer Mr. Dirkson's question. Okay, it's breezing through. Try not to take up too much of y'all's time with just like sitting here on dead air. Fuego, do you have all Sai King's books? Okay, have all Sai King's books taking place in the same universe? Well, not necessarily, and that's one thing that's probably open for debate, at least in my estimation. We know that stuff in the Dark Tower jumps from universe to universe, and how there's this aspect of thinnies, as they call them, but there's basically, in all of these overlapping universes, some that are almost identical, others that are drastically different. There's areas where things overlap, and that's where, you know, you can do interdimensional jumping, like with, you know, for instance, Sawyer into the territories, and, you know, in the Talisman and whatnot. So, no, I would actually argue that even though a lot of books do take place, especially in the, you know, 70s, 80s, and 90s stuff with, like, Castle Rock, for instance, lots of other stuff that does not. So, watch my video that I did about, I'm trying to remember the exact title. I believe I called it Castle Rock and the Stephen King Extended Universe, something like that. It's still the most viewed video that I've had in this entire series, which I'm, once again, humbled and honored that people have taken an appreciation to it. So watch that, and there will be a ton more explanation there. Just rewatch The Shining, good as ever. You know, I have mixed feelings about The Shining. I prefer Dr. Sleep. That's just me. Not sure if you ever answered before, but what's your favorite King novel? Yeah, Dino, I did an entire video. It was my second video ever here on Hail to Stephen King, at least Hail to Stephen King proper. So if you search top 3 King, I believe it's novels and adaptations or something of that nature. Just search on the horror show, Stephen King top 3, and you will definitely come across it. And that's the tough thing. It's like my top 3 always fluctuate, but they've always stayed the same. So I'm doing fantastic, Mariano Gregorio. What's up, brother man? Gaunt is the character I want to read more about. Yeah, Dylan, that's why I said that in both prequel form or sequel form, I want more Leyland, man. Seriously. I was originally saying I would like a sequel that followed him going to another town, but I think it would be even better to have a prequel with him. Maybe you see the origins of his character, and you see maybe the first town that he went to or something. That would be badass. Okay. Amanda Darrington, what's up? What's up? Okay. Jerks is asking me another question. Are you a fan of the band Demons and Wizards? I know. They do have an album where they basically based a good chunk of it, if I remember, off of Dark Tower aspects. If I remember, it's John Schaefer and then one of the guys from Blind Guardian, maybe. I've listened to some of that record. I know that Shooter Jennings, if I'm not mistaken, this was brought up to me by Rubber Soul. He also did a video called The Gunslinger, which is really badass, and it chronicles the Battle of Tull, and it's probably more entertaining than the entire Dark Tower movie was. Sorry, guys. Are you the only one that liked the movie Thinner, John? You're not. I actually think the movie Thinner was a badass adaptation. It's not going to be quite as good as the Bachman book, but I felt like that was a solid adaptation, directed by Tom Holland. No, not the Tom Holland who's playing Spider-Man right now. The same Tom Holland that directed Child's Play and Fright Night, and unfortunately Fright Night Part 2, which, if you guys want to see how craptastic that film is, jump on Amazon Prime right now because it's apparently streaming there. Okay, we're going to keep jumping. Never heard you mention Insomnia, Fuego. Well, Dylan, I actually did an entire video on Insomnia. It was called Return to Derry Insomnia. So if you check that, if you search on the Stephen King playlist here for the Hail to Stephen King episodes, I did it right after I reviewed it. So after we did all of that coverage and we were just trying to milk it as much as we could, you know, I decided to reread Insomnia, and I gained a better appreciation for Ralph Roberts' plight and that journey than I did the first time, because the first time I read it, I hadn't read any of the Dark Tower books. I feel like in a lot of ways, especially in the third act, you really need to have read the Tower stuff, and that's one thing that book kind of confuses and alienates. You know, as much as I love that part and I love the way it ties in, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I don't necessarily think it needed to be there. I think you could have, well, you know, who am I to criticize Sai King? Not my place. I still really enjoyed the book, even if I felt like he was hitting some of the same beats when he went down into the evil little doctor's lair that you had when the kids were going into the sewers. But I definitely recommend Insomnia. It's pretty damn good. But watch my entire thoughts on it. Yeah, there we go. First book you ever read. Okay, so Mariano says the first one that was ever read was The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. I think that's one that's screaming out for an adaptation. And I have to give King credit for the fact that apparently they were thinking, especially since they did a pop-up book, which if you guys watch the video where I talk about my Stephen King collection, I show this bitchin' pop-up book that they put together, which condenses the story down to just almost like it's Cliff Notes, so to speak. But they have these beautiful pop-up stuff. I used to love those as a kid, pop-up books. But apparently there was certain stuff that they wanted King to take out. I think it was just like one scene in particular maybe where she uses profanity, or it was something silly. And so that then they could market it as a YA book. And King was like, no, sorry, no dice, y'all. I'm not going to cave in. He didn't do it. But I think that's one that's right for an adaptation. It could be made on a microscopic budget. Seriously. They could do The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. They could do that for just a couple million. Blumhouse, what the hell? When is this going to happen, man? I've heard in a recent King interview, he said to Entertainment Weekly, I believe it was, that every story of his after the year that he's had is in some various form of development. Everything he's ever written. So that's one that I would definitely love to see. Okay, I'm seeing less comments, or less questions, I should say. More talking amongst yourselves, which I absolutely adore. Pitchfork the movie, yeah, you should see Cecil's rant review about that. That shit was pretty funny. It was my first King movie and book. Yeah, it was one of my first as well, man. Much love to you, Brandon. That's a damn good one. Stand By Me was my first introduction to CDK, says Beth S. Then I had to read the novella. Yeah, and the novella, it's pretty damn faithful. Although in some ways, as much as I love the novella, I feel like Rob Reiner did an even better job of just encapsulating and enhancing the spirit of it. And that's through the casting, you know, that he did. And that's where, much like with It, the thing that, even though I wasn't happy with a lot of aspects about it, the thing that I thought was so awesome about it was the fact that the casting was so perfectly on point, especially for Ben and for Bev. They were my two favorites. I also thought, I thought that the kid who, both Stanley was good. I mean, everybody was solid, you know. There was just certain characters, like Stan, and, I thought Mike got kind of the short stick of things. So, but, yeah, Bev and Ben especially I thought were great. And so that's where, a casting director and then also a directing coach, acting coach, whatever they might classify them as on the project, and a director getting good performances out of kids is one of the absolute best things that you can see there. Okay, let's see what else we got. Okay, here's another one from Anibal. Fuego, what do you think is the most underrated book of the King? This is a video that I'm actually waiting to do very soon, so stay tuned. We're going to be doing, I don't think we're going to be doing a live one of these maybe more than once a month, but if this seems to have gone well, and I've gone for almost 30 minutes, and we've got a solid 20-something people, I would like to do maybe one of these once a month, because we don't want to go overkill with the questions. I want you guys to have the chance to refresh, reload your brains, maybe, have some questions in mind. So, maybe we'll just plan on one of these once a month on a Tuesday. Or, because, a Saturday streaming, I know people want to go out and do other things, but I think, later Tuesday evening streaming could be fun. So stay tuned for that. I look forward to mentioning what I feel like are some of the most underrated Stephen King books. Slenderman going to be good. Well, we're not talking about that, but watch the trailer reaction that we did to it. See what we thought on that. Okie dokie, Dr. Jones. Are you aware the police detective in The Outsider, Ralph Anderson, shares the same name as the boy taken in Storm of the Century? Interesting theory, Lou. I think that would be incredible if that is the case. We'll see. Fingers firmly crossed, because, King is very good at just keeping all of his stuff in tow and just writing notes. And he has people like Robin Firth with The Tower who help him make sure all of his mythology is kept straight, because you have to think, at 70 years old when the guy's written over 50 books, I mean, it's easy to get stuff confused and mixed up a little bit, so I think that's good. Favorite King moment as an actor? Mine is Creepshow. I'm trying to think what Dirksen is saying specifically. Favorite performance from an actor? Favorite moment from an actor? Man, in some ways, That's a tough one. I would definitely have to think. I mean, the first thing that I'm going towards is once again the gentleman who portrayed Underwood in, yeah, definitely Underwood in The Stand. I mean, I as much as I love Jack Nicholson and I felt like that performance was amazing, for me, that was like an alternate universe Jack Torrance, you know, one that was much more evil and sinister than the one that was actually in the book. So I can't go with that. Maybe Carla Gugino from Gerald's Game. That performance blew me away. That's the most recent one that I can make mention. Just wowed me, supremely wowed me. So, okay. Actual October, you're almost finished with it. Damn, it has been an amazing ride, right? And just all of the additional backstory and everything that they fill in, it's compelling, and in some ways, like with Hochstetter, fuck, it's gross. It's, I don't even know. There's something with his baby brother. You know what I'm talking about if you've got that far. Favorite? Okay, Edward D, what's up? Gerald's Game is my favorite King adaptation of 2017. Yeah, you know, in some ways, it might be my favorite as well. I think me and Cecil, when we did our review, check out our review that Cecil and I did of Gerald's Game, where we just gush about the amazingness of this film. But I gotta say 1922 is pretty close, even though they altered just a few things. Okay, could you imagine how much creepier the future Pet Sematary could be if they actually add the Wendigo? Judd Crandall rules. Thanks, Nick Oakes, man. Appreciate you tuning in. You know, I'm really curious what the Starry Nights team of directors is going to do with Pet Sematary. Well, I was definitely pulling for Andy Muschietti because him and Barbara, his sister and producing partner, they had expressed interest in wanting to do it, but he's got his hands in so many projects after the success of it. One of Cecil's favorite comic books is actually called Lock and Key, which is Joe Hill, King's son's most celebrated comic book work. And he's actually directing the pilot for that. I hear he's got at least another project or two, plus Chapter 2 of It, so it just wasn't meant to be. But if you guys haven't seen Starry Eyes, Fudgicles part, that movie, you want to hear about the Me Too movement and all the horrible things that they're saying happen in Hollywood, which unfortunately we all probably assume have been commonplace forever. You got to see Starry Eyes, man. It's pretty messed up. Pretty messed up. Congrats on Chiron Live, Mariano. Gracias. Appreciate it. Adam David, what is up, sir? Pleased to have you join in. Okay, Ben Grimm asks, do you like In the Mouth of Madness's take on the Stephen King type author? John Carpenter film, if I'm not mistaken, same Neil. You know, it's one that I watched years ago and that I need to revisit because I remember the beats that they were hitting and the connections that they were making, but, you know, maybe that's something that I should rewatch and do like a King comparison contrast type thing with, you know, just how many of those beats and just aspects of the New England town and, you know, the notorious author that people are so reverent for and so on. So, yeah, that's definitely one that I need to take a bit of a better look at. I don't think we hear enough about how awesome Cujo is. You know, Nick, Cujo is interesting in the fact that it's one of the books that King says he doesn't remember writing. And you can tell because if I remember, it's just like, it's very similar to, Dolores Claiborne, where there's pretty much like very few breaks, if any at all, and he was just drunk off his ass the whole time he wrote it, and it's one where you definitely feel a little bit badder, that's not a real word, you feel a little bit worse for the dog in that, yeah, it's tough, you know, but I'm really not excited about this weird Cujo adaptation where they're turning it into an acronym, and it's like, canine, it's like something about like a manufactured canine. I can't remember what the hell the acronym is for, but it was something really stoops. But I'm just upset, honestly, that they changed the ending of Cujo. And I remember after getting off an interview with Dee Wallace, just kind of asking her, maybe I even asked it during the interview about the changing of the ending and stuff, and, you know, just the mixed feelings that induced within people. But yeah, it's solid as far as adaptations go. Yes, exactly. Blumhouse, Tom Gordon. Rewatched that Pupil recently. Yes, that's a damn good adaptation that it's from different seasons. I don't think it gets enough credit, especially for the deceased Brad Renfro. He wasn't quite as creepy as the kid in the book, but I thought he did a tremendous job. And obviously Ian McKellen, amazing in anything that he does. Yep, and what are your favorite and least favorite Stink King short story collections? You know, Mackenzie said, thanks so much for joining. I did a video here on Hail to Stephen King about the my top 10 King short stories. I have not done a worst short stories one yet. I'm thinking about it. It's like, if you're going to have the yin, you have to have the yang. You have to have, you know, the equal and the purpose, or the balance and the or the random and the purpose. Why am I forgetting that after reading Insomnia again last year? So you have to have the random and the purpose. You have to have the balance. And so, yes, but check out that if you can. Favorite King cameo role in movies and TV? Oh, obviously either the cemetery scene in Pet Sematary or where he got killed on Mr. Mercedes this past season. That was cool. Okay. Fuego, favorite movie of this year? Well, I can't divulge that here because this is a King discussion, Sir Sam Power. Reading The Dark Tower, Pistolero, great book. Yeah, Felipe, you're going to have a damn good time with that. Gugino, yes, I know. Fuego's good. Excuse me, I'm getting some Fuego criticism from Senior Cecil, as I should, because Gugino. Yes, very good. I always say Gugino like a dumbass with my poor pronunciation. Are King movies better for TV or theater? So by theater, I'm assuming you mean like not the theater, you know, you're talking about like a movie. So TV versus film, you know, jerks for me, man. Sir Brandon, I think it really depends on what they're trying to adapt. The larger the book, the more I'm for a series, like an event series, like 1122, or shit, even an ongoing series. Although don't overdo it like you did with Under the Dome, because that's just silly. Stephen King acting in Creepshow. Is the guy covered in grass yet? Dirksen, but that was one of my least favorites. That and the cockroaches were my least favorite segments in that particular film. So, yep, he was the farm assistant thinner. Okay, let's see what Lou has to say here. What are my feelings about whether or not The Dark Tower will be readapted? TV seems the best bet at this point. Well, Lou, they're still saying that they are doing the Young Roland TV series. They just reported on it a couple months ago after the film tanked. They said it was still happening. Who knows if those plans will change? We know how often things can go into, you know, the planning phase and then just totally pan out and not happen. It always sucks when that's what transpires, but, you know, it is what it is. So we will just keep on waiting and seeing what the hell happens with that. I'm all for it, though. They said that Idris would come back, but I'm still not sure what the point of that would be. What would the casting be? How young would they go with the African-American actor that would play Roland? I don't know. Yeah, I'm hopeful. Different creative team. I mean, that movie, it had a little bit of promise, but it just butchered everything. It should have been an event series on HBO. They should have gone season by season, or, you know, feature by feature like they did with Harry Potter, adapting all of the books. That would have been the best thing. I still think it would have been better served for television because, you know, they still would have had to condense so much, especially from larger volumes like Wizard and Glass or Dark Tower, the 7th volume. So, yeah, I think they should have gone the television route, HBO, Showtime, Stars, or one of the streaming services. Throw it on Hulu, Netflix, something like that. But, we can dream, right? Who knows? And maybe in a different dimension or multiverse or whatever. Okay, so I see Beth has a question. What would be a question you want to ask the King one-on-one? Have you ever killed a man? I would definitely ask him that. TV better? Yep, I definitely agree. I'm going to scroll through because I know I'm a little behind on these. Has King ever influenced you to write? Yeah, Jerks, King's actually influenced, as Cecil could probably attest to, a few of the shorts that I basically started work on and outlined, and just they're more so concepts that are unfinished and need to be worked into something. There's a story called Beneath the Rocks. There is another one called Marked. There is another one called In the Shadows. So those were all, when I was first getting into reading King, Marked and Beneath the Rocks especially, I was just so immersed in his world, and I was still in like 70s King, so I was still pretty early into it, and I was just experiencing weird things in my life, and I would see things, and they would induce just ideas and whatnot. Maximum Overdrive, yes, and Power, that's actually underrated and stupid, but A Certain Shape, I think that Salem's Lot does still hold up. It's better than the Rob Lowe crap that they did, and now I heard recently they're trying to remake it again, so who the hell knows? Looking. 90-minute Dark Tower movie was ridiculous, Lou. I totally agree. No Mercy 27. That is Mr. Mercer. What's up, dude? Hey, congrats to your Vikings, Mr. Mercer. Yeah, that end of that game was batshit crazy. Mason Gregg, what is up, man? So I'm finally just about all caught up on these. I've been blistering through. We're at almost 40 minutes already, and I've still got 20-something peeps chillaxing with me, guys, so thank you so very much. Kai Kurono, I know that you have been on quite the few of the earlier King stuff, and thanks for tuning in for the interest, yo. Do you think they'll have the Ritual of Chud for It Part 2, and how do you think they'll visualize it? I would love them to go in some crazy fantastical variety to see just that mental mind play of sorts. I think it does have a possibility for being done fantastically. I think they gave the It film maybe like a $40 million budget, somewhere around there. You know that they're going to give them a larger one for this, but I still have a feeling they're going to go after name actors. And you got to believe if they go after name actors, a lot of that bigger budget is going to get sucked up, not necessarily for effects like I would hope it would be, but it's probably going to go to salaries for those, for those more recognizable names. I'm hoping that that is not necessarily the case. I would love to see a psychedelic, crazy mind war in another world. That would be super, super bitchin'. They're saying there's going to be flashback scenes, okay? And I'm hoping that some of the flashback stuff that they do, in fact, see is I want to see the smoke out, the smoke out, trip out scene, the arrival of Pennywise or the entity that it becomes. I feel like that would be amazing. There's a lot of stuff that as kids they could still flashback and do, but they better hurry up and film that stuff with those kids, man, because they are not getting any younger anytime soon. You don't want their voices caving in or anything or cracking, because they're going through puberty as they're trying to film Chapter 2. So I'm just really hopeful it's good. They often say lightning doesn't strike twice, but I believe in Andy's vision. Yeah, I'm very curious what it's all going to entail. But bigger budget, yeah, Kai, I think that there is definitely, there is a possibility for that to be done in a very, very cool fashion. But yeah, we'll see. I just hope that if they do it, they don't half-ass it and they make it psychedelic and insane and almost like you see like the heads lock and then it like zooms into one brain and or maybe like the heads zoom together and then it's like fades to black interstellar. Man, that could be really dope. Okay, Ben Grimm, what do you think of Seth Green playing adult Richie? I actually did an entire video about the people who I think should play the adult actors. So if you guys check out the Stephen King playlist that we have, I did a whole video about my predictions for casting, my dream casting, basically, for Chapter 2. So I don't want to tell you who I think. It's a novel idea, though. I guess it's fun. But, yeah, see who I personally thought. You guys will be totally in for that. Yes! Annabelle says Maturin! I'm not thinking he's going to be there, especially if Andy said that there wasn't going to be the turtle in Part 1. I doubt the turtle's going to pop up in Part 2, but who the hell knows? Maybe they go psychedelic crazy AF and just get banging, but I'm not holding my breath for it. This was very grounded in a lot of ways, this new version of it. I'm not thinking they're going to go outside of the box and try to cater to the die-hard fans. I do feel like in a lot of ways it was a very deliberately mainstream film, for better or for worse. I loved it, but I don't think that they're gonna put any of that wacky, obscure, super psychedelic shizzle in there. It's to the sadness of my heart, I don't think it's gonna happen as much as I would love to see it. Mackenzie asks favorite member of the quartet. Everybody wants to say Roland, right? I'd say well, it depends what quartet you're asking about. If I'm gonna say of both quartets, if I have my free range between all of them, I'd say Bert. Yeah, definitely Cuthbert. Cuthbert's my dude. I know that Eddie was basically his version in the new quartet, but yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, of course, Mercer's like, go Vikes! Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Okay, Mariano, good night, guys. I'm going to bed. Hail to the king. Hell yes. Gracias so very much for tuning in. And yes, much appreciated, sir. Yeah, how about them Eagles? Well, that's going to be the showdown, right? But we're not talking football here. Anyway, we're going. Favorite book not by Stephen King, asks Sam Power. Well, I guess that's something that I can answer. Boy, The Ruins by Scott Smith is incredible. Damn, let me think. Obviously, Bram Stoker's Dracula is great. I love Phantoms by Dean Koontz. That's another one that's fantastic. A lot of people hate on Seth Grahame-Smith, but I think Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, while the movie was kind of silliness, I feel like that book, especially with all of the historical research that was done for it, and it actually has the ending in the book that I felt like should have been in the movie about what John Wilkes Booth really was. Without spoilers. Spoilers? We clear? Yeah, John Wilkes Booth was a vampire, and he was out to assassinate him because, yeah. So read the book, even though I just spoiled it for you, because of the fact that it's such an amazing journey, and it's so well written. I have yet to read I think it's called The Last American Vampire, or something like that. It's basically a sequel following a character from Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. So those are a few off the top of my head that I thought were awesome. If I looked at trying to look over at my book collection, and yeah, perhaps that's for another video. I did honestly really, really, really enjoy the hell out of Heart Shaped Box by Joe Hill that I read last year. That was pretty damn good. Okay, Stranger Things is just a ripoff of it. Yeah, in a lot of ways, I would say that there's a lot of similarities. Did I like? Okay, Annabelle says that I like the It deleted scenes. I like the Bowers deleted scene. I like the Bar Mitzvah deleted scene. I liked the extended ending as well. The extended ending was in the original script. You guys should watch our video that we did about the deleted scenes. Yeah, we did a whole video about it, a live stream just last week, so check that out if you guys can. Do you think there will be a Tim Curry cameo in Chapter 2? No, Brandon, if we didn't have one in Chapter 1, I'm not holding my breath for Chapter 2, although I think it would be interesting fan service, so who the hell knows? Okay, so we got Mariano peacing out. Adios, have a great rest of the evening. Ben Grimm says, no, I'm just saying, what would I think of Seth Green as an adult Richie? I know he played Richie in the original one, and I felt like the kids were actually very, very well cast in the original miniseries. There's other people I would like to see play him, so I'm not so hot on the idea. Just me personally. So, okay. I heard Andy had already shot the flashback scenes for it. Yep, okay, Robert Medina is actually right. I have been told that there are some flashback scenes that have already been shot. I'm curious if everything was done, because then that would mean that they already have like a full script done, which I'm not necessarily thinking they do. Maybe they just have some scenes they are sure want to be in there, and who knows, maybe they don't even end up in Chapter 2. They end up in, I don't know, maybe they end up in the director's cut, which we know is still coming, of the original It. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Did you hear that King said he would probably write another DT story? Damn right, Lou, I did hear that. He was at the Toronto stop for the Sleeping Beauties tour, and he said, yeah, after a fan question, he's like, is there one more story you have in you? Please, Daddy, please, it's $20 million, Daddy, please, please, Sai King, please. And, the guy's like, can we finally hear Jericho Hill proper or something else? And then he said, yeah, I think that's going to happen. So that's amazing. That's extremely exciting. Maybe he'll write that next after The Outsider, because of the fact that he needs to atone for how his property was bastardized on the big screen, and how he even admitted that the fact that it was PG-13 made it crappy. The fact that the length was so short made it crappy. He was all on board, and, just like with The Mist, saying The Mist was great, King doesn't denounce his stuff as what he really thinks about it, I've noticed, until after he sees the fan reaction. And if the fan reaction is really bad, then he kind of takes a step back and he's like, yeah, this wasn't really very good, I'll admit it. And then he goes into detail. So, I don't necessarily want Jericho Hill. I feel like there's been enough explained in his outlines that were done as the Marvel comics, and also some of the hints that we got in, like, Wolves of Lakala and whatnot, that, no, I don't think we need it. I want a completely different story. I want something like we had in Wizard and Glass, or excuse me, in The Wind Through the Keyhole, which took place in between 4 and 5. That's what I want. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Mason Gregg, what's your favorite books? Instagram page. Man, there's a few. Hairy Faced Steph, yeah, I think that's his name. Hairy Faced Steph. He is a king collector in the UK. Big fan of that guy. He's so rad because of the fact that he arranges his stuff. Like, all my stuff is like congested and clogged up. And I was talking with Cecil just recently that I need to get a new bookshelf because of the fact that this is just it's piled. And you guys can't even see at the moment the bottom shelf. But he arranges like the covers in this awesome way. And he's got a shiz load of the pops, and they're all like placed very coolly. And so, yeah, that's definitely one that I really like. Hey, It's Brandy is another one. She does a killer job. She's rather new to the Instagrams. Yeah, those are two off the top of my head. One guy and one girl that I think do a pretty cool job with their stuff. So, okay. We're creeping towards an hour, and I'm sure Cecil doesn't want me going too insanely long with this. I'll probably just try to get caught up on all the comments, and then I will bid you guys adieu, since it's almost midnight on the East Coast. So, did you guys check out the VR It experience? Ben, we did the first one, and Cecil has the second one on tap for us to do, and damn, am I excited for it, because the first one is pretty scary, man. It freaked me out, dude. Just a wee bit. So look forward to that. And if you haven't seen the original one, definitely check it out. It's one of our most viewed episodes on the channel, with not just relation to Stephen King, with relation to everything. So, yeah. And also, if you want to see Cecil on our most watched video on the channel, walking around as Twisty and hanging out with a Pennywise cosplayer at the Phoenix Comic-Con Fan Fest a few years ago, it's pretty damn funny. Producer Dave, shout out to him for the amazing editing that he did for that. So that was definitely cool. Do you think in 30 years we'll be talking about the new It like we do the 90 Pennywise movie? That's what Beth S. asks. It's debatable. I think we'll definitely be talking about it, if only for the fact at the end of the day that it's the highest grossing horror movie of all time now. Now, that's not adjusted for inflation. It leapfrogged The Exorcist this past year. But, you know, if we were to adjust for inflation, Exorcist would still be way on top, so that would not be a distinction it would get. But, yeah, I think if anything, yeah, we'll be talking about it for that. I don't know. Will it hold up like the original? I guarantee there's still some people who, you know, the original will always hold a special place in their heart until all of us are dead and gone, you know. The kids who saw the original hit, they'll take up the mantle for the new one. Were there any King graphic novels? Drix actually did an entire episode about Stephen King comics, so definitely search for that. I have not read The Watchers by Dean Koontz, and, you know, I've been wanting to... Boy, there's some of the Odd Thomas books. I mean, especially after how much I enjoyed, you know, goodness, the one that I mentioned earlier, Phantoms. The Odd Thomas stuff is definitely the ones that I've been really wanting to read. But, you know, that's for another place. I know he's like Cy King's rival of sorts. You know, I think Koontz might have even sold as many, if not more, novels. But, you know, whatever. What is a better desperation movie... Okay, what about a better Desperation movie or maybe a Netflix series? That's what Jason Yo Mama asks. I don't think the Desperation adaptation was that bad. Ron Perlman was good. Dude from Wings who was in the redoing of The Shining, whose name is totally eluding me. I thought he was pretty good. It was creepy, you know, the stuff with the Chinese miners getting infected by talk and everything. But once again, you know, despite the fact that you had Mick Garris doing a serviceable job, it was made for TV. More so than a Desperation remake, I want to see The Regulators. So let's leave it at that. Okay, yep, The Last American Vampire. That's what I thought it was called. Sam Power, thanks for the confirmation. I also figured Booth was a vampire. Yep, there you go. Oh, so you guys are talking about it. Possibly you've checked it out. They did do Dark Tower graphic novels by Marvel. They've also done a few others, as you can see here. And my favorite still might be The American Vampire, the first volume, which King co-wrote with Scott Smith, with Scott Snyder. Don't want to get those names mixed up. Scott Snyder, Raphael Albuquerque, and Stephen King collaborated on the first American Vampire. Tremendous. Amazing. What did I think of King's Son's writing, Dino? I have only read Heart-Shaped Box up until this point, and you can check out me and Cecil's review of that here on the channel. We did one after he did the audiobook, and I read the physical copy. So, yeah, there you go. Happy Death Day. That's what Jump says. Well, we're not talking about that right now. Yeah, I actually really liked Happy Death Day. Wolves took twins. Sam Forsyth is on, asking, okay, in Wolves they took twins away because twins could survive their awful extraction process. Do you think Talk, obviously from Desperation, yes I know, could have lasted longer or indefinitely if it had a twin to live in? Well, you know, interesting you mentioned that, Talk, because there's the theory that Dandelo in the seventh and final Dark Tower book, who the remnants of our Kotet encounter near the end of the book, is actually a twinny of Talk. Take that into consideration. Okay, we're possibly nearing the end, guys. I'm almost all caught up. The Family Guy King episode, you know, I'm not a Family Guy fan. I'm a South Park fan, so I have never watched that. But perhaps, based on the fact that they went after Cy King, perhaps I should. But, you know, I think of Family Guy in the same way that I think of the South Park episode where they showed how they write Family Guy. Mike was the most underdeveloped in the movie. Yeah, definitely. I agree, Kai. It was Mike and it was Stanley. I felt like they were both given a disservice, but Mike was the one who I felt like was compromised the most, despite the fact that his journey was turned. Yeah, well, it's really emotional in the book. So what the hell am I saying? I felt like the fact that they took him being the historian away and giving it to Ben, I felt like that was a cheap shot and not very cool for his character. Okay, yep, we're almost caught up, so we're going to wrap this up here in just a few minutes, y'all. Ben Grimm asked what Stephen King book would make the best video game. Interesting. I'm thinking a survival horror of some sort. Damn, I mean, shit, you could obviously do Pet Sematary as a strange survival horror type thing with, you know, like, first going, you know, over to... But, you know, you need to have monsters, maybe, so that would be more of like an atmospheric Silent Hill type thing. Or maybe even like a point-and-click, like a 13th Guest sort of deal. The Regulators you could turn into some strange, you know, shoot 'em up, almost like a Grand Theft Auto type thing. That would be fun. Yeah, once again, those are two that come to mind. If given more decent thought, you know, do you know they did make a Dark Tower, almost like, man, I've only played a little bit of it. I'm trying to think of what genre you would best describe it as. It's a PC game. It's called Discordia. Check it out. It's free on Stephen King's website if you guys are interested. I would love to book it. Any plans to see King get his PEN Award on May 22nd, same day The Outsider is released? Boy, Lou, I'm going to have to actually check out as to where that is taking place because I have not heard about that, so I'm going to have to do some research. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. Ron Howard should play... funny. There was some crazy shit that wasn't in. What up, people? Up, Rogue Reaper. You're unfortunately jumping on Rays. We've been going for almost an hour, and I'm just getting ready to wrap it up, man. Ron Perlman, yes. Ron Howard. Oh, okay. I see where you guys are going with that. Funny. Yes. You know, Dark Tower action game. Yeah, Dark Tower as a, yeah, I'd say like a third person run around, like shooting almost like a, you know, maybe you could go first person and cycle into a third person, because I always appreciate when games allow you to do that. I don't know if the Rockstar Red Dead Redemption allows you to go first person and third person, but I think it'd be cool if they took that sort of approach. Okay, thanks for doing the Q&A live, lots of fun. Right on, Sam, gracias to you. The Mist could be a game, I agree with that. Dark Tower open world game by Rockstar. Kai, you're on to something here. So definitely, Kai, check out that Discordia that they have on Stephen King's website. That could be fun. So we're wrapping it up here, guys, and I guess Beth S. has the last question. So, last question. What genre would you like King to delve into that he hasn't yet? Boy, you know, he's done hard crime at this point. He's done full-on drama. He's done, he's done just about everything I think that I would love to see him do. I mean, it would really boil down to me wanting to see him delve more into... I'd like to see King do more full-on creature stuff, like full-on creature. Stuff like we saw in The Raft, you know? That's the kind of stuff that I'm really, really into, or Gray Matter. I would like to see King do more stuff like that. I love slimy, sludgy, grimy creatures of sorts. Even weird possessed like devices and things like that, like Maximum Overdrive or the Mangler. I would like to see King do more stuff like that. So maybe another zombie type thing, you know, or a infected type thing like we had with Cell. I think that would be cool. So yeah, I guess that is going to be it, guys, as we are reaching an hour. I have to extend a grande gracias to all of you, you know, constant readers, fans of the King, supporters of the show here. You all have all of my love, all the damn time, man, all day, day. And, you know, please share this video once it's no longer, you know, here live, once it's able to be shared with the hashtag Hail to Stephen King. And once again, this is a program that is now twice a week, so it's every Saturday and it's every Tuesday. Make sure to comment on the bottom. I'm sure that with the group chat, we're not going to see as many comments on this one, but in old videos, in further videos, please make sure to comment with any questions or suggestions you have for this show. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover, anything for a future video that you would like to suggest, I'm always open ears, because of the fact that this is like a King community with all of us together. That's the way that I like to look at it. I am so appreciative, grateful, humbled, and honored. So I have to extend a grande gracias once more. Say arigato, danka, merci. Gracias once more. Thank you so very much, everybody. I've been Jaime Fuego. You can find me on all social media sectors, predominantly Twitter and Instagram, but I'm also on Facebook. And I'm still debating what's going to happen with the Fuego solo YouTube. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to, you know, like and share and subscribe to the horror show if you guys are just randomly popping across this video. And yeah, I guess until the Wheel of Ka comes around once more, y'all. Hasta luego, sin amigos, and book readers across the globe. I'm hopeful it is sooner rather than later. And until that instance arrives, remember, stay scared and read Stephen King. And recommend that your friends do the same as well. Thank you so much, guys. It was a pleasure and an honor. And yeah, it's going to be interesting having to turn this off. The joys of modern technology. The remote mouse. Oh boy, how about this? And we're about to say later.